Before Tesla stole the march, the first generation Nissan Leaf was actually the best-selling electric car in the world. Although the second one, it faced a lot more competition from America, Asia and even Europe, so it didn't really stand out quite as much. But this, the new Nissan Leaf, well, it has an even harder job because not only does it face all of those existing rivals and the likes of the Skoda Elroq and the Kia EV3, but also an onslaught of low-cost rivals from China. But this Leaf, well, it does something potentially much better than all of those rivals, and it's something that is enormously important, especially if you're going to use an electric car as your main source of transport. So in this video, I'm going to reveal all of the features that make up what I think could be the best electric car of this class.
But first, don't forget, if you want to find a great value new motor, you can do so from the comfort of your own sofa by downloading the Cinch app. Whether it's an EV, hybrid, or petrol, or even diesel, you can find your dream next car for the right price with just a few taps on your phone. Talking of price, here's how the Leaf ranks.
If it starts at £35,000 like we're expecting when it goes on sale in 2026, it will be right in the thick of this class. In fact, it'll be a little bit pricier than the Renault Megane E-Tech, which it does share a few parts with, but not much, because honestly, this is a very different car. And I think that is most clearly illustrated in the looks, because it looks really good, doesn't it? I think they've done a great job with the design on this car, especially at the back, because to me, it's a little bit like a NASCAR here, or maybe a muscle car with that swooping roofline and that lip on the fastback tail, although this is definitely not a product of America. In fact, it's been built in Sunderland. How are the lads and lasses? I've butchered that, haven't I?
Actually, the rear design is inspired by Nissan's old Z models. And you see the 2 and 3 bars in the lights? They say Nissan because Ni is how you say 2 and San is how you say 3 in Japanese.
And here's where the car gets really technically impressive, because from this angle you'll be able to see that it has that really slippery shape. In fact, this is one of the slipperiest cars on sale, not just in this class. And it really focuses on battery lightness, so much so that it embarrasses some of its rivals. Those cars not only have to use more battery kilowatt hours, but also they weigh more because of it. So this feels very efficient.
The on-paper numbers are really impressive. WLTP stats show that the smaller 52 kilowatt-hour battery Leaf can do 271 miles, while the bigger 75 kilowatt-hour car has 386 miles of range. Of course, those WLTP stats are for mixed driving, but perhaps most impressively, Nissan claims that even at a steady 70 miles per hour on the motorway, you'll get 267 miles of real-world range in the bigger battery car.
But there's more, because when you charge it, well, even though it will charge with 150 kilowatts, so it's competitive, we also know that it will get from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. Or, if you prefer, in the same time, you'll add 259 miles to the battery. So in theory, you probably won't need to charge before your next stop, but if you do, you can go a lot further. Although arguably the toughest thing for this car to do is to tick the boxes for Europeans who want high tech, but also Brits who want buttons in their cars, because as we know, some of the Chinese cars in this class, they are very, very high tech, but they're not that functional on the move because everything's in the touchscreens. But that is not the case in this British-built Japanese car. Thankfully, we have loads of buttons and all the ones you want, but we've also got some very, very high tech. Now, in fact, we've got two 14.3-inch screens ahead of me here, and the best thing about them is they run Google technology, which means not only are they quite familiar, but they've got this really smartphone reactive and also very sharp screen. Plus, you've got a home button on the screen all the time, and for your climate controls, they are all down here as well, which means you don't have to fiddle in the menus. But there are also physical buttons of the old school sense if you look on the steering wheel and also down there as well, which means it's just going to be easy to use this car and drive and use all the tech. But I can tell you also the interior has all the best things I've loved from Nissans of old, because it feels functional and ergonomic, but also spacious and very smart and also nicely put together. It feels solid and tough. I think this can go toe to toe with the best in this class, and for more than just the snazzy tech stuff. Honestly, it's going to be nice to live with this. And talking of nice to live with, it's comfortable as well. These seats look quite racy for a Nissan Leaf, but they are also supportive and comfortable, and there's loads of space as well with that panoramic sunroof. Now in the back, there's a good thing and a not so good thing. The good thing is it's still lovely and comfortable. I've got tons of headroom above me here, and we've even got 2 USB-C ports down there to go with our pair of vents, so we're not going to fight over those. Plus, if there's no one in the middle, you've got an armrest here, which is all very lovely. But the minor negative is that because these batteried floors, they generally lift the floor up. Some cars do better at hiding that, but in this, I can definitely sense there's a battery in the floor. My legs are quite high, so if I had a long journey in the back of this car, I couldn't tuck my toes under the seat ahead, which is set how I like it. And I'm just under 6 foot, so it's okay in the back here, but if I were to do a 3.5 hour journey, I might be the one saying, can we stop for a sandwich for, a quick stroll or something? Now, it is a similar story when it comes to the boot, because on the spec sheet, it's definitely not the biggest in the class. The Skoda Elroq, for example, has a fair bit more space, but this one's very smart because, as you'll see, yes, it's a nice flat loading floor, means it's going to be easy to load heavy items in, but you'll spot we've got little side segments and 2 handles here, which I can lift up to expose loads more space underneath. Look, I can hide the charge cables away, no problems whatsoever, and I can take this whole section out along with the other one as well. But if I lift up this floor, you'll spot there is also a bit more space in there as well. Not tons of the stuff, but it's definitely usable. So while it's not the best in the class, I think for most people, this is going to be absolutely fine. And of course, don't forget, you do sacrifice a bit with that swoopy roofline. If you want a bigger boot, you probably shouldn't be looking at the swoopy roofline stuff, should you? And before you ask, no, it does not have a frunk, or a fruit, as I think we should be calling it, by the way.
Apparently there's no fruit, or frunk if I have to, because the engineers opted to shift the electrics further forward under the bonnet to clear up space for the interior. And this is true in both specs of the car, which by the way come with 177 horsepower or, in the bigger battery Leaf that I'm driving, 218 horsepower. Both versions will be equally as easy to manoeuvre in town, with a tight turning circle and decent visibility helped by all-round camera tech. But our car's extra punch makes it the more fun option.
Ooh, yeah, that does move. It's not, Tesla Model Y dual motor, slap you in the face kind of quick, but it's pretty nippy. This is going to satisfy people, even who are coming from other EVs. Now, the other main reason you should definitely go for the bigger battery car is that you get, as standard, a heat pump, and that really helps the car to be as efficient as possible, even when it's chilly outside and you want to turn the heating up. Nissan does claim that even the base battery without the heat pump, they claim the same efficiency for that car, but I mean, anyone who's run an EV will know you definitely want the heat pump for the best in efficiency. And I can tell you, this car comes with some pretty bold claims. In fact, Nissan reckons you'll get 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour average. And that, they say, is a pretty realistic claim. It's not one of the WLTP optimistic ones. That is one you can actually achieve, which means even if you drive in a mixed environment, you should get very close to the claimed headline figure. The coolest thing is how it achieves that efficiency. Now, it does it not just by having a lighter weight than you'd expect and all those cool aerodynamic features, but also because of a thermal management system, which could put you to sleep if I go into too much detail. But basically the gist of it is that the battery and the motor are just managed in a way with a radiator so that the temperatures are always at the optimum level, even when the temperature outside is going up and down across the day. So it means it doesn't matter how you drive or where you're driving, the car is always making best use of the energy that it has.
Talking of efficiency, it'll continue outside of the car too, with a vehicle-to-grid charging system that Nissan will be offering in the UK with the launch of the new Leaf, making it cheaper to run and even helping to cut your home electricity bills. Oh, and getting back inside the car, I really like that the Panoramic sunroof has electrochromatic tech, so you can block out hot sunlight in the summer to keep the car cooler and therefore be more efficient with your air conditioning.
You can have an impact on that efficiency yourself as well, because you can play with the car's paddles behind the steering wheel to adjust the one pedal driving strength. You can have it everywhere from basically just rolling and coasting like a normal automatic, or if you ramp it right up, you can actually make the car come to almost a complete stop. It does get to a low speed crawl. You only have to touch the brake when you come to a complete stop. And then, amazingly, there's an auto hold. So driving this car, whether it's on the motorway or in the city, is super, super easy and crucially, super, super efficient.
That ease of use is matched by comfort, as the Leaf deals with bumps and speed humps very well indeed. And it should fare pretty well on British tarmac too, as much of the car's development was done out of Nissan's UK base. That might be why the Leaf also corners with real composure, offering plenty of grip and not too much body roll, and in fact, the whole experience of driving the Leaf is really confidence-inspiring. And you can even focus on the road ahead and lean into the Google-based infotainment system's smartness to help out with directions by using its very capable voice tech.
And best of all, this car not only gets Google's tech to help you on the screen, but also you can see Waze, and this is a first, you can see Waze projected onto the head-up display. So if you're a regular user of Waze like I am, it doesn't have to be on your screen here. It can be there, of course, but it can also be directly on the windscreen. That's not been done before, and I think that's a really, really cool development. But I'm old-fashioned, so I'm really appreciating the fact that we have a button on the steering wheel, and by the way, it's illuminated, so you can't miss it. And if you press it once, and then you press this button here to switch off the beeps and bongs and put it into your custom mode, they all go off. I've just switched it on there, but if I press this again, now they'll be going off. So it means we don't have those annoying driver assistance features that help nobody. So we've got so much range packed into this battery, and it's really efficient with how it uses its energy. So, well, range anxiety is just not going to be a thing with this new Nissan. In fact, I would say that this is the best in the class when it comes to this stuff. Even if on paper another car comes in with a bigger range, this one is so sensible with its energy. And of course it's priced right, even out of the box. But if it does manage to get the UK's government grant, well, if it manages to become even cheaper with that, then it's going to be exceptional value for money. So much so that I don't think there's any point going for the entry-level smaller car. If you can afford to spend a couple grand more and get the bigger battery one, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. But if you must absolutely spend less than £30,000, well, there are a few from those Chinese brands that are landing in the UK quickly, and there's a really good one from Jaku, and it's called the 5, and we have a video on screen here now.